too great. I've got a bit of dodgy hair, you can probably tell I've got a sore throat, got a blocked nose. So I'm doing a bit of a different video. I'm doing an in front of the camera one. I was going to use my webcam, but it didn't want to seem to record audio, so this is the second time I'm recording this video. So, yay. As you can tell by the title above, this is my thoughts on innovation at the moment. Is it moving too fast? Is it actually innovation? Or is it just one massive pissing contest? And basically, the way I've organised it, as you can probably not tell on my notes, it's a bit far away. I've sort of organised it a bit like a Q&A with myself. But at the end of this video, I'll put the questions in the description box so you can answer it yourself. So let's get down to it. The first one. Are there too many devices coming out? Quite simply, yes. I mean, there are way too many devices coming out from every manufacturer, no one's the exception. I think one of the worst ones though is HTC. I say one of the worst, there are some bad people, but what annoys me about HTC is last year they released the HTC Sensation, which was codenamed the Pyramid for so long. It was the ultimate HTC phone. It was their first dual-core phone. It and the Evo 3D were the first Sense 3.0 and first QHD HTC phones. So it was a big deal. And now in 2011 at MWC in a few weeks, they're set to announce the VEAL, or what is now being called the 1X, which is the same phone, just a bit steamrolled. The same 1.2 GHz dual-core processor, the same 8 megapixel camera, the same QHD Super LCD screen at 4.3 inches. They've just squashed it down to about 9mm. So I think it's quite. I think if they do release the phone that is exactly like that, I think HTC should be a bit embarrassed that they've basically gotten the Samsung Galaxy S2 from last year. I think the best way of saying it is what Chris Ziegler from The Verge said on the Verge Mobile podcast. If HTC release this phone as anything higher than a mid-range phone, they should be embarrassed, because they basically got the Galaxy S2 from last year this year. Like, Samsung had a dual-core 1.2 GHz 8 megapixel camera, 4.3 inch screen, and more memory, a gigabyte of RAM, in an 8.5mm package last year. Samsung had that last year. If HTC are only just getting that this year, they're basically a year behind. So if they release that as anything more than a mid-range, they should be a bit upset with themselves. Next, is most of it just a massive pissing contest? Yes. Yes it is, to be honest. And again, I'll take it from The Verge. No one is better at it than Samsung. I mean, I'm going to put a bit of a little montage in a minute about the top 5 manufacturers, and yeah, I think you'll like it. Alright, next is, do manufacturers need to calm the F down and release less phones and tablets? Yes. And at the moment, I am speaking right into HTC, Motorola and Samsung faces and saying, stop it. I think the worst is easily Motorola, like hands down. I think from August to now, they've had the Bionic, the Razr Max and the Droid 4. They're the same phone with slightly different things. Alright, the Razr is a slimmer Bionic with an AMOLED screen, or a Super AMOLED advanced QHD display, and a slightly larger 1750 mAh battery. The Razr Max is a Razr with a larger battery. The Droid 4 is a Razr Max with a keyboard and a smaller screen, and a not as good battery. They're the same phones. The same freaking phones. Like, Motorola could have saved themselves millions of dollars by not releasing the Bionic or the Razr and just come straight out with the Razr Max. That's it. They could have just saved themselves a lot of time by just coming out with the Razr Max straight away. Oh, and your stupid coloured variants? No, they're not coloured. You change a tiny bit of the rim around it. It's still a predominantly black phone. Stupid white and purple variants. Yeah, like I said before, HTC with the sensation reveal, it's just annoying. Samsung with their many variants of the Galaxy S2. I think AT&T has 3 variants. They've got the Galaxy S2, which is the 4.3-inch one. Then they've got the Skyrocket, which is a 4.5-inch one with LTE. And then in the coming weeks, they've got the Skyrocket HD LTE. No, the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket HD, which is a Skyrocket with a 720p 4.65-inch screen, and the original AT&T Galaxy S2 came out like end of October, so that's about 3 or 4 months. They've got another. That's 3 phones. It's not as bad as Motorola, but it's getting there. Well, sorry guys, I'm gonna take a bit of a. I'm gonna have a cup of tea because I've got a sore throat. Refreshing. So yeah, that's annoying me a bit at the moment, as you can probably tell. What do I think needs to? What do I think is a must-have in a 2012 superphone? And the superphone is quite a debated word. Google and HTC originally came out with the word superphone when they released the Nexus 1, and I think back then it was a pretty simple thing to class as a superphone. Did it have a 1 GHz processor? Did it have a 5 megapixel camera? Was it, at that time, thin? Did it have a big display, which at the time 3.7 inches was rather large? Did it have high resolution? And again, at the time WVGA was a good resolution. So it was pretty easy to class what a superphone was back then. Now, only a year or 2 later, no, yes, 2 years later, we have phones like the Pantech Burst on AT&T in the States with a dual-core CPU, a GB of RAM, a 4-inch Super AMOLED WVGA screen, and I believe a 5 megapixel camera. And LTE, by the way guys, and LTE. And that's a $50 on a 2-year contract device. And that's a mid to low-end phone. What? Put it this way, if you are not someone in the tech community and you weren't very informed and you bought the Nexus 1, which I'm not saying is a bad phone, I want a Nexus 1 and I might even get one soon, but if you bought a Nexus 1 on launch day, on contract, your contract would only just be up, and at the time you had the top of the line, you had the best phone going. Now, we're getting dual and possibly even quad core phones with 4.7 inch, or in Samsung's case 5.3 inches, but pardon me, 4.5 is becoming a bit of the norm. HD displays with Super AMOLED Plus. They're stupidly thin. I mean, like we said, the Razr is 7.1. Huawei has a 6.7mm phone. We're having like 8 and like 12 and 16 megapixel cameras, which can all shoot 1080p. And that's just 2 years. So, but what do I think should be on there? A high quality and megapixel sensor. So, I don't think there's not really a point in having an 8 megapixel camera if it performs like a 3 megapixel. Well, 3 is a bit unfair. There's no point having an 8 megapixel camera if it performs like a 5. And the only way I can really say this, because, well, that's what I can't say. If you get an iPhone 4, not a 4S, a 4 with a 5 megapixel camera and a Droid Razr or a Motorola Razr if you're in Europe, and take a photo of the same subjects with both phones, the iPhone 4 will look better. It's just a better quality sensor. Now, Samsung and HTC and Apple have all taken good care with the sensors they put in their phone. The Galaxy S2, the 4S, the Amaze 4G and MyTouch 4G Slide all have remarkable cameras. And like, you can label me an Apple fanboy to be honest, but the only thing in my office that is Apple is this, and you saw me do an unboxing video of it, and it's the 6th generation iPod Nano by Apple, and yeah, I only got it because it's 16 gigabytes. It's rather small, touchscreen, and I enjoy it, but I hate using iTunes. I'd much rather even use Zune. I don't have a Windows phone. I'd much rather use Zune. I use Spotify for most of my music anyway. But yeah, call me Apple fanboy, but you're wrong. So yeah, it needs to be a good quality sensor with a good aperture, like f2.2 or lower. I mean, there's no point having, I think, a 16 megapixel camera like on the HTC Titan 2, which has a 16 megapixel camera, but from the test photos I've seen, they're not that great. They seem to be on par with 8 megapixel shooters, which is quite depressing, which means they got in on a pissing contest with it. Wait a sec, we need a huge camera in this phone. Because the Titan 2 is the Titan with LTE and a better camera. That is it, it's the same phone. A slightly redesigned chassis, but it's the same phone. But yeah, just good quality sensor rather than high megapixel. A dual or a quad core CPU. I think dual core 1 GHz and 1.2 are going to be in mid-range phones in this year. So a high 1.5 or entry-level quad core CPU. How can I say entry-level quad core? But a quad core CPU is going to be high-end. Oh god, I thought I read 16 gigabytes of RAM here. That's how terrible my writing is. 1 gigabyte of RAM or more for a high-end phone. Yeah, anything less is just not great. I mean, I had to go at HTC last year for releasing the Sensation with 768 meg of RAM. It's not a big thing, but I had to go at them, and you could tell the difference between that and the Evo 3D, which had a gigabyte of RAM. And ICS. If a device does not have ICS at MWC, I will not regard it as a superphone. I don't care if it has a 5-inch 1080p screen, which is 5mm thin, and a 28 megapixel camera. If it doesn't run ICS, it's not a superphone in my eyes. I'm sorry, guys. So that's why I want a superphone. I mean, you can tell me I'm wrong. I probably am wrong. I'm not wrong. It's my opinion. Everyone's allowed their own. Alright, what do I think needs to slow down the most? CPUs. Because like I said before, in 2 small years, we've gone from 1 gigahertz single core, which at the time was blazing fast, to 1.3, 1.4 gigahertz quad cores, and that is crazy. Like I said, I used the Nexus 1 analogy earlier. If you bought one, your contract would just be running out. So, alright, and what is the slowest changing technology that I think needs to be improved the most? I think that batteries need to be improved, because there's no point having these super fast super fast phones with massive displays and great cameras if the battery life is 2 hours long. So I mean, Motorola sort of plugged the hole with the Razr Max just by shoving a huge honking battery in there. I think it's like double the original Razr's battery or something like that. I think it's a 3300 mAh battery. But yeah, it's just crazy what they did there. But that's, like I said, that's only plugging the hole. The problem is still going to be there. We need to come up with new technologies, because I think, if I'm right, lithium ion, which is what our current batteries are made of, is a dwindling resource. So I think at the moment they're trying to use graphene, or graphene, however you pronounce it, and graphene is like the ultimate compound. It can be used to make almost anything, apparently, in this scientific community. So I would much rather have a better battery than a quad-core CPU in my phone. Alright guys, I'm going to put in the description box, I'm going to put all the questions, and you can answer them yourself, and you can put your own opinions. Like I said, everyone's allowed their own. Please don't flame, because I will delete comments, and I will block people. But if you want to get in touch with me, you can get so on the website, which is www.mobile-dom.co.uk. You can get me on Twitter, which is twitter.com/mobile_dom. You can circle me on Google+, which is g+.to/Domenico Lamberti. Where's that, guys? can't guarantee that those social networking accounts will be 100% tech related, because they are my personal social network accounts. I do technology consultations and repairs, and also facial modifications. So here I now have a chrome 8520, when before it was a bit of a dull, and you can't see that, it's like a dull titanium colour. Yeah, the current supported models are the 8100, the 8110, 8120, the 8520, the 8900, soon the ZT Blade, and then also soon the 9100/9105. And I also do tech consultations for phones and tablets, and the email address for that is domenico@mobile-dom.co.uk. Please give me a thumbs up and share if you like what you saw. It really does help me, and I'll see you in the next time. Peace.